Hey guys, it's Mr. Mini Painter, and in this tutorial we will be painting Nightwing from the Batman Gotham City Chronicles game by Monolith. He's sleek, he's agile, he's instantly recognizable. Nightwing's miniature is defined by the sharp contrast of his dark suit and the vibrant blues on his suit and the emblem. His dynamic pose really makes him stand out on the tabletop, and painting him is a great opportunity to experiment with these clean highlights and bold color placements. I'm going to take you step by step from priming to finishing touches, and with tips on achieving those smooth transitions on his blacks and blues that really make this miniature pop out on the tabletop. So the result will be a striking model that really captures Nightwing's acrobatic energy and presence among Gotham's heroes. So, pick up your brushes, it's time to bring Gotham's first Robin-turned vigilante to life. Alright, I started with painting the model in a black primer. As it's a dark miniature, black undertone is the most convenient. First, what we're going to do is paint the blacks, and since the model is black already, I'm starting with ashen grays. It's a close to black gray, but kind of stands out from the base tone. And what I'm doing here is focusing on all the top layer muscles. So the top muscles on his leg, his abdominals, every part that's kind of sticking out, if you know what I mean. And what I do first is paint a hard line. So a pure coat of ashen gray in this case, to really identify those highlighted areas. Next, I'm mixing it up with some administratum gray into the ashen gray and going over it once again, but in decreased areas. And I'm thinning my paint down just a little bit. And you can immediately start seeing the results with some extra highlights on the highlight. Now, since it's a black model and it's very tiny, you can go a bit over the top with highlights, as if it were reflecting, really reflecting light, which is of course difficult with dark areas. So I'm picking out the knuckles, the muscles, the defined muscles in his legs and arms, of course, and on his back. And now with pure administratum gray, I'm adding some very fine lines, only the tips of the knees, the muscles, etc. And basically what you're trying to do to get a nice blend is water down your paint and kind of pull the paint from the darkest towards the brightest part. That way you get a great transition from dark to bright. Now here's my results after this first stage. I'm quite happy with it already. Next is the face, which is just a tiny part that we're going to paint with Bugman's Glow. He's wearing his mask, so it's just his cheeks and chin and forehead that is showing. I'm a little bit out of focus here, but you get the idea. So his neck and face are painted. I'm trying to stay clear of the previously painted parts, of course. Take your time when doing this. It's a hobby, not a race, right? Next step is Cadian Flesh Tone, in which we're going to accentuate some highlighted areas. The Cadian Flesh Tone is quite close to skin tone, so you can go about 80% coverage. So I painted his entire forehead, his nose, his cheeks, his chin, and leave those darker areas, so below the chin, for example, the inner ear, leave that nice and dark so you get some differences already. And final step is Kislev Flesh, with which we're going to accentuate the jawline, the nose, some lines on his forehead, the edges of his ear, the cheekbones, and if you're able, try and do the upper lip as well. Then With Abaddon Black, I painted his hair. If it wasn't black already, I touched some of it with some skin tone, so I cleaned that up. And the same goes for the mask. Make sure that's nice and black. And really define the shape of the mask, as it's a bat's shape. I painted him some white eyes with palette witch flesh. It's really tiny, but make sure you have a fine tip and make it nice and bright. And then paint in a pupil with Abaddon Black. And if you, like me, have touched some of the mask, clean that up with black as well. Painting eyes is a pain in the ass always, but we manage in the end. Once done, with Cantor Blue, we're going to start off with the blues. There's quite some blue on this model. It's like the shape on his chest, the V shape. It goes all around over his shoulders to his back, the upper arms. And part of the gloves. Second highlight is Teclis Blue. And we're going to cover most of the previously painted Cantor Blue with this, leaving just those recesses dark. So between his knuckles, some definition in the muscles here and there. As you can see around the elbows, I left it a bit dark. The upper muscles, leave some darkness here. And this is what you more or less get. Don't forget the mask, of course. It's a blue mask he's wearing. You can leave some of the black around the mask to define it a bit more. Next step is Temple Guard Blue, which is again a bit brighter, and we're going to decrease the areas in which we paint, so only the upper parts of armor to make it look reflective. So I'm focusing on the top of the shoulders, the top of the muscles. Imagine where your light source would be and work from there. I'm taking it a step further by adding some white scar to the Temple Guard Blue and making it a little bit more of an intense highlight. And again, decrease the area, add some nice edge highlights here and there. That's it. Now his fighting sticks, painted with Cantor Blue as well. And what I tried to do here is make him kind of glowy. I figured that the back is like a handle he's holding, so it's black. So after the Cantor Blue, I went over it with Teclis Blue, same as the armor. But we're going to take this a bit further than the armor. And I'm covering more or less 2/3 of it with this Teclis Blue and leave the rest black, darker blue, Cantor Blue in this case. And it's kind of a hard cut, isn't it? From dark to bright. So first I painted this in a solid color. After which I'm thinning it down and went over it again with a watered down version to kind of blend those colors together, as you can see here. I repeated the step with Temple Guard Blue, starting from more or less halfway the stick to brighten it up even more. And again, thinned it down and blended those colors together. You can do that as much as you want, the result will be nicer each time. Final step, mixing some white scar in the Temple Guard's Blue, and you can increase that in 2 or 3 steps if you want. And I did the same process. I wanted it to be extremely white glowing sticks, so they would really emit energy. And again here I did the same thing. First a solid coat on a more or less 1/3 or maybe a quarter of the stick, and then kind of blend it together with the bluer paint. So basically pulled the pure techless blue forward to the whites, opposite as that was what we did before. And you get a very nice transition in colors. And these things, they really look dangerous. Now you can add some white glow over it if you want. And at some point you have to decide that this is the best it's gonna be. Then with some Dark Reaper, I added some tiny color to the handle of the batons. You can work with grays, but there's already a lot of blacks and grays in this model, so I always try and use some color here and there. The hair I painted with ashen gray. Just pick out some strands of hair, focus on the top. As Nightwing has black hair, you want to leave it dark and don't highlight it too much, but some reflection is always very nice. So pick out some tiny hairs with this ashen gray, and it's already a really nice highlight. And again, focus on the front and the top of his head. Maybe some hairs that are sticking out here and there. And try and be as precise as possible. Now highlighting this with a dry brush is also an option. If you are able with a brush, then please use a brush, it's way nicer. So I'm repeating the step with the Ministratum Gray, and this time focusing on a smaller area to highlight, so just a tiny reflective part, and that's it. Now for the base, Mechanicus Standard Gray. You let that dry. Once dried, I'm covering it with Null Oil. I always use a heavy coat as I'm going to be dry brushing over it anyway, to really make those cracks visible. Then let that dry and dry brush that with a Ministratum Gray. And you can take that one step further by doing the same with Gray Sear or any kind of brighter gray that you used before. And that's it, your end result is there. We have finished our Nightwing. There he is, look at him. I think he really looks amazing, even though he's just a few colors, blacks and blues. But I really love how those muscles turned out, how he really stands out on your tabletop. He looks menacing, doesn't he? Well, if you like this kind of videos, please consider subscribing to the channel and leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in one of my next videos. Bye bye!